Incident investigation for school administrators. Introduction and learning goals. Welcome to SBCI's Incident Investigation for School Administrators e-module. Although developed as a companion support for the SBCI Health and Safety for New to the Role Administrators e-module, the content of this e-module is equally relevant for other school board supervisors, such as custodial supervisors. As a principal or vice principal, you are considered a supervisor under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, OHSA. In Ontario, approximately 80% of all school board injuries occur amongst staff that report to a school administrator, principal and/or vice principal, as their supervisor. Your role in an investigation as a supervisor is more than fill in the form and file, but rather investigating the incident should focus on outcomes of learning and preventing future incidents. A workbook with optional exercises is available for this e-module. Learning goals. After this e-module, you should be able to 1. Understand incident investigation involves more than simply reporting of the incident. 2. Become familiar with the steps of an incident investigation. 3. Create a safe work environment in your school. Why conduct workplace incident investigations? As a school administrator, you are faced with multiple pressing priorities on a daily basis. You may question 1. Whether you have time to conduct incident investigations. 2. Whether you have the knowledge to conduct incident investigations effectively. And 3. Perhaps you are uncertain if conducting incident investigations actually benefits your school. Incident investigations are conducted for two primary reasons, both of equal importance: legislative and prevention. Legislative requirements. The legislative investigation and reporting requirements are found in the Occupational Health and Safety Act, OHSA, and the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act, WSIA. The relevant sections can be found in your workbook. Of note are the requirements for critical injuries, which are detailed in the next section. Prevention. The Canadian Standards Association, CSA, in the CSA Z1005-21 Workplace Incident Investigation Standard, describes incident investigation in the context of an incident investigation and prevention program. The CSA states as a guiding principle of this standard that incident investigation provides the greatest opportunity for improvement when it is used as a tool for prevention and learning. Learning from incident investigations not only translates into preventing future staff injuries, but in a school environment also to your students and visitors to your school. The stages of incident investigations. An incident investigation can be broken down into 3 phases. 1. Pre-investigation. 2. Investigation. 3. Post-investigation. All are equally important. 1. Pre-investigation. As a school administrator, planning for an incident and the resultant incident investigation involves familiarization with relevant board procedures and protocols, understanding what a critical injury is and the relevant board procedures and protocols, and building emergency resources within your school, in particular, your internal capacity for emergency care such as first aid and CPR. Board protocol. Your school board will have an incident investigation protocol or procedure that generally details the following: internal and external communication and notification process, identification and deployment of additional resources if required, securing the incident scene if required. Note, this is not an exhaustive list. Consult your workbook for the planning phase components identified in the CSA Z1005-21 standard. While nobody is truly ready for an incident and the resultant investigation, knowledge of your board protocol, including resources available to you, leaves you better prepared. Critical injuries. If someone is critically injured at the workplace, a number of legislated tasks must occur, including Ministry of Labor notification. But first, what is a critical injury? Ontario Regulation 420/21 states an injury is critical if it is an injury of a serious nature that A. places life in jeopardy, B. produces unconsciousness, C. results in substantial loss of blood, D. involves the fracture of a leg or arm, but not a finger or toe, E. involves the amputation of a leg, arm, hand, or foot, but not a finger or toe, F. consists of burns to a major portion of the body, or G. causes the loss of sight in an eye. Please note that the Ministry of Labor considers the leg to include an ankle or foot and the arm to include a wrist or hand. And, although the regulation specifies that the fracture or amputation of a single finger or toe is not considered to be a critical injury, a fracture or amputation of more than one finger or toe is considered to be a critical injury. To complicate things a little further, critical injuries must be reported to the Ministry of Labor for non-workers, such as students, parents, and visitors in your school. Not all non-worker critical injuries require reporting. Reporting is only required if you answer yes to both of these questions. 1. Did the critical injury occur where a worker was working or might reasonably be expected to work? 2. Is there a reasonable connection between the hazard that caused the incident and a realistic risk to the worker or workers H&S? Pop quiz. So would you report the following? 1. A parent entering your school slips on an icy school step and breaks a leg. Yes or no? Yes, this would be reportable as the answer would be yes to both of the above questions. 2. A student falls off the monkey bars during recess and breaks an arm. Yes or no? No, this would not be reportable. While a staff member may be supervising in and around a playground area, there is no reasonable nexus between the hazard and realistic worker risk. As a school administrator in the context of the OHSA, if someone is critically injured, 1. Always call 911 in an emergency. 2. Notify the Ministry of Labor and JHSC immediately. 3. Do not disturb the scene. 4. Provide a written report within 48 hours. Operationally, this may vary between school boards. For example, your role may be to notify a central contact, such as your health and safety lead, who will put into action further notifications and reports. Additionally, your school board protocol may require you to also notify your superintendent. Emergency resources. It is important to have a working knowledge of your board's incident reporting and investigation procedures. The same is true for emergency response and resources. In particular, understanding your role in an initial response to an emergency, such as acts of violence, armed intruder, abduction, or hostage, chemical spill, gas leak, or release of noxious substance, bomb threat and suspicious package, fire protocols, power and/or heat failure, medical emergency, severe weather. And don't forget to maintain a number of staff certified in first aid and CPR. They are an invaluable part of your school's internal capacity to respond to incidents and emergencies. 2. Investigation phase. Scene management. Depending on the nature of the incident, In case of medical emergency, follow the immediate actions. 1. Ensure the safety of all individuals involved. Ensure staff and/or first aiders have protected all persons from further injury. Secure a safe scene. 2. Provide emergency care as appropriate. 3. Call 911. Provide a name and/or callback number and/or as much detail as possible, including all details related to the victim and first aid. 4. Report the incident to the designated board personnel in accordance with board protocol. Data collection, gaining knowledge. After scene management, the next step is incident investigation. Data collection is the term CSA uses in its standard rather than evidence gathering. Gaining knowledge through the discovery of facts, not fault-finding, should be the focus of your investigation. A fact-finding approach that identifies solutions for a safer workplace is the most successful. As you enter this stage of the investigation, remember, incident investigation can be compared to the problem-solving process. Just as in that process, incident investigation defines a problem, gathers data, analyzes the facts, and determines and evaluates solutions. As a supervisor, problem solving is core to your role. Supervisors are expert problem solvers. Gathering data for the purposes of incident investigation has been succinctly summarized in the Public Services Health and Safety Association, PSHSA, Fast Fact, How to Investigate an Incident. The following is extracted from that document. Gather evidence. Gathering evidence helps you to gain a clear picture of what has happened so that actions can be taken to prevent similar incidents in the future. When gathering evidence, identify the final event of the incident, the hazard. Gather data that fills in the complete picture of what happened from the beginning of the incident and what contributed to the final event. Question workers in a cooperative and non-judgmental manner. This must be a fact-finding exercise. Do not assign blame. Ensure that the evidence is factual about actions that were seen, heard, or done. There are 2 ways to gather evidence. 1. Look for clues from the scene of the incident. For example, take pictures, make sketches, take measurements, take samples of substances and/or fluids. Note environmental conditions, for example, housekeeping, lighting, noise, signs, and/or workspace. Collect foreign objects or broken pieces of equipment. Check written work processes and procedures. 2. Collect information from people, for example, the injured worker, witnesses, and/or supervisor. Ask effective questions that stimulate more than yes or no answers. Be objective. Do not ask questions that simply support predetermined conclusions. Ensure that workers are asked if they have any ideas about how to control or eliminate the hazard. 3. Put the evidence in order. Put all the facts together in the order in which they occurred. This will help you develop a mental picture of what happened. Make sure that you have enough evidence, avoid information gaps, and that the evidence makes sense. Each event interacts with at least one other incident event. 3. Post-investigation phase. Analytics. Analyze the knowledge. There are multiple theories about why and how accidents occur that collectively help us analyze the data we have collected to determine what happened, and more importantly, how to prevent it. A thorough examination of accident theory is beyond the scope of this e-module. A synopsis can be found in your workbook. 2 elements of accident theory, however, are critical to your analysis of the data. 1. Multiple causation theory, and 2. Sequence of events. 1. Multiple causation theory. For those that have reviewed your workbook, you will recall an early loss causation model that if we reduce the number of unsafe acts and conditions in our workplaces, we will have fewer incidents. This model is dated. Incidents are rarely caused by one act or condition, but rather the result of unsafe acts, conditions, and other contributing factors. Factors that can play a role in incident causation can be categorized as process, equipment, materials, environmental, people. Let's use a case study to think about how these factors could possibly play a role in an incident. In mid-August, an elementary teacher went to school to prep their bulletin boards for September. They would normally borrow the custodian's 8-foot stepladder for such work. However, the custodian was busy with a construction contractor, so the teacher used a student's chair to stand on. The chair slipped out from under them, and the teacher suffered a severe fall. Let's consider the 5 categories of contributing factors. Process. Does the school and/or school board have a protocol for work inside the school outside of normal working hours? In particular, during times when construction contractors are working in the school? Equipment. Are 2-step stepladders conveniently located throughout the school, so reliance on larger and/or heavier ladders is not required? Materials. Perhaps not a contributing factor in this example. Environmental. Poor housekeeping in the area near the bulletin board, contamination such as water on the floor surface. People. Was the teacher aware of the availability of 2-step ladders in the school? 2. Sequence of events. Sequence of events, while not a causation theory, is important in determining how and why the incident happened. Determination of the correct chronological sequence of an incident can assist in finding the causes of an incident. Consider the following case study. A teacher, affectionately known as the early bird, regularly parked in a location close near one of the school's entrances closest to their classroom. One February morning, after exiting their car, they slipped and fell on the walkway they usually took into the school. Upon investigation, it was determined that the teacher routinely arrived at the school early, just after the custodian. During non-winter months, this created no challenges, but in the winter months, it resulted in the custodian having insufficient time to clear and salt and/or sand all the entryways. The incident sequence in this example led to a relatively simple solution to prevent recurrences. Early arrivers to the school would use a designated walkway into the school, a walkway which the custodian would clear prior to the other walkways. Once data from an incident is collected and sequenced, the process of determining causal factors can begin. A variety of analytical processes and tools exist to accomplish this. Some are described in your workbook. One technique, known as the 5 why approach, which is simply asking why 5 times, give or take, to get to the root of the incident. Let's use the 5 why technique using an incident on the school soccer field. Incident. Staff member struck by a soccer ball resulting in concussion. Why did the ball strike your head? I was supervising at recess and had to walk through the soccer game. Why did you need to walk through an active game? There was a student altercation on the other side that appeared to be escalating. Why did you not walk around the game? I did not have time due to escalation. Why did you not pause the game before you entered the field? The game was really loud, and I didn't think I would be heard over the noise. Possible solutions. Use a whistle or other signaling device for students to pause activity when directed. Teaching positive playground expectations. Active supervision. Recommendation. Develop corrective actions. Let's take what we've learned and apply it to a slip, trip, and fall STF case study. STF incidents are the most frequent cause of injury for Ontario school boards, have the most severe outcomes, and the majority occur during the winter months. An early November winter storm caught many off guard. A new snow removal contractor had plowed the parking lot prior to the start of school, but did not pile the snow in the designated area. The morning was warm and sunny, which resulted in snow melt, which was tracked into the entranceway. Significant water on the entranceway flooring was evident, well past the end of the walk-off matting. Later in the afternoon, it became overcast and there was a sudden freeze. Water, which had run from the melting snow pile back onto the parking lot, turned quickly to ice. There was a STF injury in the entranceway in the morning and in the parking lot in the afternoon. What do you think may have contributed to these injuries? Snow removal contractor not familiar with the school snow clearance plan? Perhaps footwear? Slow to transition to winter footwear? Inadequate walk-off matting inside the entranceway? Lack of wet floor signs? Lack of water cleanup? Anything else? Let's explore the possible solutions. Prior to the winter season, a school site meeting with the snow removal contractor, facility services, custodian, and school administrator is important, so everyone understands their role and expectations. The location of snow piles is a critical discussion point, as snow piled in the wrong place can obstruct sight lines and, depending on the grade of the parking lot and location of catch basins, create a hazard with freeze-thaw cycles. Winter footwear is critically important. Contractors and custodians work very hard clearing snow and salting and/or sanding, but can't be everywhere all the time. Staff need to play a role by using winter footwear. Walk-off matting inside entrances is also very important. If significant water is observed past the end of the matting may need to be augmented during the winter season. For wintertime STF prevention resources, please review the SBCI Slips, Trips, and Falls Prevention, Winter Conditions, and Outdoor Surfaces e-module. A 5-minute SBCI e-short titled Slips, Trips, and Falls Prevention, Winter Footwear and Outdoor Traction Aids is also available to share at staff meetings. Summary: Learning from incidents. No organization wants to have injuries, but it's important to learn from incidents. Incident investigations should not be thought of as a form and file activity, but an opportunity to prevent a recurrence. The CSA Incident Investigation Standard reminds us of the guiding principle of a successful investigation. Incident investigation provides the greatest opportunity for improvement when it is used as a tool for prevention and learning. Safety is a shared responsibility. Thank you for playing your part. Finally, if you have any questions, please talk to your school board's health and safety lead. Acknowledgements. We thank the following for their review, thoughts, comments, and contributions: